I've made a ton of mistakes over the years of trying to lose weight based on some pretty bad advice. Now, some of it worked and it helped me to lose weight for a little bit, but a lot of that advice had led me to feelings of being frustrated, having self-hatred, feeling helpless that I would never reach my goals, and was also potentially very harmful for my health because there's so much bad information out there, and a lot of us get caught up into it because we want weight loss fast and we are willing to do whatever it takes. But the good news is there's a much more reasonable, simple, and effective way to lose weight, and I'll share tips for that as well in this video. So let's get started. Right off the bat, I'm not a fan of most foods that say that they're fat-free, low-fat, sugar-free, or any diet type foods, because what they've essentially done is they've removed whatever the thing they're saying is free or low in that food, and they've replaced it with something else, usually either sugar or fat or a lot of chemicals, or sometimes a combination of all of that. And if you've watched my video on whether saturated fat is good for you, you already know that saturated fat is really good for weight loss, that it's actually tied more to weight loss than low-fat foods. In fact, low-fat foods are tied to weight gain. So having high-fat foods, assuming they're unrefined, foods like avocados, chia seeds, Greek yogurt, and nut butters are all really good for your overall weight loss, assuming you have them in moderation. Bad food is completely off limits. Say goodbye to all the foods you love. No, not good advice. So we all have our foods that we love that aren't the healthiest, aren't the most nutritious. Like personally, I'm a huge fan of pizza, burgers, donuts, cookies, and a lot more, but those are probably my top 4. And so when I was thinking I needed to lose weight, I was like, you know what? I can no longer have this. People say these are bad foods, these are now off limits. I'm not allowed to eat any of the foods I love. So you cut out those foods because they are unhealthy and you start eating all of these healthy foods, right? You start having celery sticks and carrots for snacks. You start eating salads, you start having a bunch of foods that you think are healthy because you want to have a healthy lifestyle. That doesn't take away that you love those other types of foods. Instead, you start craving that type of food. You start feeling like your lifestyle isn't allowing you to have the food you love. And so that can go down this path of feeling like you're always restricting yourself and you don't enjoy your lifestyle because you never get what you really want. Now, obviously, if we love pizza and burgers and cake, we can't really have that every day and still lose weight or be super healthy. But there are ways to get the food you love and still lose weight and be healthy. For example, if you watch my video on how I do cheat meals, you know that I enjoy these foods, but I have them kind of as part of my routine in moderation. Because if I don't, I will feel like I am not satisfied. I'm not enjoying the foods that I love and I don't like my lifestyle. That's a big no for me. And in fact, there's research that shows that indulging in those cravings that you have will actually make you more satisfied with your healthy lifestyle and will also help you to lose more weight versus those people that completely restrict. Because if you completely restrict, you're bound to at some point cave and have the foods and get off track anyway. And also be realistic here. Do you think you're never gonna have a birthday cake or have a Snickers bar or a caramel frappuccino at Starbucks? These foods are things that we're just gonna have. And if you eat those and you feel like you're completely off track now and everything's over, you're gonna have a much different perspective on your healthy lifestyle and how to get back on track versus if you intentionally go and have that and it's part of your plan. Do a juice cleanse for some quick weight loss. So you've probably heard me talk about juice cleanses and how I hate them. But doing a cleanse of any sort where it's just liquid is typically not gonna be a good choice. It's basically nonsense. So with the juice cleanse, instead of getting the apple and the orange and the banana and the kale and all those different pieces and eating them separately and getting all the nutrients and the fibers and the proteins from those foods, instead you're basically getting a condensed juice of that has none of that nutritional value. And that's gonna cause your body to have a big reaction in a bad way with having high sugar levels every time you have those cleanses. Will you lose weight with a juice cleanse? Yes, probably very quickly you're gonna lose some weight because you're gonna be so restrictive of your macronutrients and your calorie totals. But once you get back to your regular food, you're just gonna gain all that weight back. You haven't learned anything other than to just drink something as a cure-all instead of fixing the bigger problem, which is finding a way to eat healthy. The quicker that we realize that weight loss is a lifestyle change and not a quick fix, the easier it's gonna be to lose weight and to feel happy with the process, rather than trying to, at the 11th hour, get every everything done to make up for all the other bad choices we've made. You know, dieting takes time and patience, but it is so worth it, and you will feel amazing about it if you do it the right way. Do a ton of cardio. All right, so while cardio is a great tool for heart health and can be useful in a weight loss program and a healthy lifestyle, it is not the cure-all that so many people feel that it is. Instead, with a different type of exercise like strength training, you have your exercise, you burn those same calories, but at the end of that, you have grown your muscles, which later on will help burn more calories during the day and increase your metabolism. And exercise alone will not fix the entire problem. You really can't outrun a bad diet. So while these types of things can help and will make you feel healthy and will make you feel good about your lifestyle, it really is going to come down to what you're eating. So rather than doing a ton of cardio and running for miles and miles trying to get those calories burned, choosing a reasonable exercise plan with a sensible diet is a much better plan to lose weight. And if you really hate cardio and you're super excited that I just said you don't have to do a ton of cardio, check out my video on how I lost my weight without cardio, because I think you'll enjoy it. You gotta cut out carbs and go gluten-free. No more carbs. Carbs are off limit. Carbs are evil. Sound familiar? People come to me and they say, I wanna follow your weight loss plans and I wanna follow your meal plans, but it looks like too many carbs. Do you have any carb-free options or low carb options? And there's this understanding for some reason that carbs are bad. So first off, I'm not a fan of cutting out entire food groups. Like I mentioned before, I'm not a fan of cutting out junk foods. I'm also not a fan of cutting out carbs. And that's because each of these food groups really has a purpose. Carbs are very important for our health and are essential as part of the 3 macronutrients that make up what we need to survive. You need to eat carbs for energy. You need to eat carbs for burning fat, and you need to eat carbs to live. That being said, there is a big value in limiting refined carbs. And there's a big difference between refined carbs and complex carbs because they do very different things in our bodies. So refined carbs are foods like white breads and regular pastas and candies and high sugar baked goods. These are foods that really don't provide a lot of nutrients in the carb that you're eating because they've been really stripped down by manufacturers from a whole food, which is what I'm going to be talking about that we should eat more of, into a much more refined and cheaper version of that, which usually turns into white sugar and white flour. And when you have these refined carbs, what happens to your body is that you have a huge blood sugar spike. And when you have a huge blood sugar spike, your body does not want to stay in that state, so it releases insulin. And when you have extra insulin in your body over time, if you keep eating more and more of those refined carbs, your body is going to become less and less capable of getting rid of that blood sugar levels with the insulin because your body gets used to having insulin then in your system and it doesn't really have an effect anymore. And that's what we call insulin resistance. The problem with that is that can lead very easily to diabetes and other major issues. So we do not want to have that. Instead, we want to focus on complex carbs. And with the complex carb, you're getting fiber, you're getting other nutrients in that carb instead of just the manufactured super simple stuff. Foods like rolled oats and oatmeal, quinoa, fruits and vegetables, whole grain breads, and even potatoes like white potatoes, red and sweet potatoes. Those are all very good complex carbs that we should be eating. Eating all those foods is not going to cause that same energy spike and then crash. Instead, it's going to give you very good sustained energy and it's going to provide your body with a lot of nutrients. Plus, you'll feel way more satisfied than if you just ate something super sugary. Your body's gonna thank you for it. Another bad piece of advice is to replace real foods with weight loss shakes. So there's a lot of weight loss programs out there that will have you drink one of their weight loss shakes as a meal replacement as part of a process of losing weight. And this is a cause for concern for a few reasons. You gotta ask yourself, is this a way that I'm gonna continue eating and is this gonna be sustainable? Are you okay with purchasing their shakes as a form of meal forever? And then second, you really gotta think about the nutrients that you're getting in these shakes and look at what is in the food that you're eating. Is it nutritious? Is it providing you the macronutrients and the micronutrients that you need? Or is it simply just for weight loss? And likely, most of these shakes are going to be very processed. Will these shakes help you lose weight? Maybe. They might help you lose weight just like a juice cleanse will, where you're doing extreme portion control and cutting your calories out so low that your body will initially start to lose weight. But just like we talked about with juice cleanses, the second you start eating back to your normal way of life, you're gonna gain all that weight back. Plus, you're probably not getting all the nutrients you need with these shakes, so your body isn't gonna be running as efficiently and as happily as it would if you were eating real foods. Honestly, if you really like the idea of having shakes as meal replacements, making making your own at home and actually putting all the ingredients in and making sure that you get the nutrients you need is a much better call. Again, making a healthy lifestyle change instead of the quick fix is really the way to go. But so many of these companies out there and marketers teach you that you have to do this fast because you do it and you're done and you lose your weight and then you move on with your life. But that's really not the goal here. The goal here is to continue to have weight loss and not do their program and then just have the weight all come right back. So furthering that point, another really bad form of advice is to reduce your calories as much as possible. Restrict everything. Eat as little calories as possible because it's all about calories in versus calories out. So if you followed me for a while, you know that I did a lot of calorie restricting to lose weight initially back when I didn't have good advice to lose weight. And I lost a lot of weight, but I was eating about 1,100 calories a day and I was mad at myself for having to eat even that amount and became a very bad negative cycle. And I talk more about that in my video on my weight loss journey if you're interested in learning more about that. So there is some truth that you do need to eat at a calorie deficit in order to lose weight. And this is really important because if you eat too many calories, your body is going to store that and you're not going to lose that extra weight if that's your goal. But there's a big caveat to this that not a lot of people pay attention to. And I certainly didn't back when I was first losing weight. You can very easily overdo how many calories you're restricting. And if you overdo it and you're not eating what your body needs, your body is going to kind of shut down a little bit. You're not going to have as much energy because it's going to store everything and try to hold on to it as long as possible. You're not going to have good thinking. You're not going to have a good self-image. You're going to be very mindful about every single little thing you put into your mouth and start hating yourself because you are eating more food, personal story, and you're going to really start living in this restrictive world. Plus, your body is super smart. It's going to go into a starvation mode and it's going to start storing more fat even. And while your body is going into the starvation mode and you're not having that energy to do your workouts or just to enjoy life, and your metabolism is slowing down in order to just maintain survival, which is your body's primary goal, you're also more likely to start binge eating. And that can turn into some big psychological problems as well. So I have a video on how to calculate the macros that you should be eating in order to reach your goals, because spoiler alert, is probably more than you think that you need to eat. And if you are eating 1,300 calories or less, really pay attention to how much you should be eating. I really caution you, anything less than that. Obviously, there's different situations and people are all shaped differently and have different needs, but 1,300 calories or below is typically a warning level to start eating more. Also, the type of lifestyle where you are calorie restricting is very unsustainable. You just like the weight loss part of it, and really you're hardly able to enjoy that piece because you have no energy, and it's just this horrible, vicious cycle. So definitely do not restrict your calories to a point of starvation. Another form of bad weight loss advice is that you can lose weight fast. This causes a potential big issue when you might not be losing the weight fast enough. You know, like I've mentioned, losing weight takes time and effort and patience if you want to keep it off and not have it just come right back. You know, even if you're doing everything right, you can lose some weight and then you can gain it back a little bit in the whole process, and it kind of goes back and forth on a downward trajectory as long as you are consistent and you're maintaining all of the goals and all of the strategies that you're using that are part of a healthy lifestyle. And really losing weight so that it stays off requires a change in our thinking, in our behavior, and our lifestyle so that we understand it's just part of this new healthy lifestyle that we're following rather than a quick fix. Anytime we get into quick fixes and thinking that we can just do something super easy, it's going to lead us to being desperate, and it's going to lead us to making decisions that we probably shouldn't be doing in order to lose weight. You know, that's why weight loss shakes don't work. That's why juice cleanses don't work. That's why water only cleanses don't work. And that's why diet pills don't really work either. And if anyone tries to sell you differently by telling you you can lose weight fast or you're going to lose weight in this amount of time, and they guarantee this quick weight loss, really be wary, because that's probably not going to be a healthy way to lose weight, and you're probably going to gain it right back. Switch to drinking diet sodas so that you can reduce sugar in your diet. All right, so just like what I was talking about with the fat-free foods, having diet sodas and sugar-free foods is pretty much the same thing. It seems like it's a good idea because you're cutting out these extra calories and this extra sugar, but it doesn't help you in the way that you would think. And in fact, there was a long-term study that was published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society that followed people who were given complete artificial sweeteners and no added sugar drinks. So they were adding artificial sweeteners to their coffees, they were drinking diet sodas, compared to a group that was not. And the group that had the artificial sweeteners and were following all of these low-calorie, sugar-free drinks wound up actually gaining weight in the long run versus versus those who didn't. And not only did they gain extra weight, the weight that they gained was additional belly fat. So if you're trying to reduce your belly fat and reduce your weight gain, definitely diet sodas are not probably the best choice. So instead, try to look at not cheating your body and not cheating yourself, and have that soda if you really want it, but work on cutting it down and not needing it as much. Maybe if you have like 3 sodas in a day, cut it down to 2, and then cut it down to 1, and then cut it down to every other day, and then cut it down to your cheat days. And the more that you're able to do that, the more you're teaching your body how to function without that crutch and without that drink and that sweetness. And that's really the behavior change that's going to help you to lose your weight and to have sustainable weight loss for the rest of your life. So a new weight loss trend that I've been hearing about is to eat intuitively. And there are some parts about this that really concern me. While I do agree that it's really important to listen to your body, to pay attention to how you're feeling, if you're full, if you're hungry, and understand how you can maybe change your behavior to accommodate that, I do not really recommend eating intuitively if you don't have a good relationship with food, if you don't understand the cues of what your body is telling you and how to fix it, and if you think that eating intuitively means that you can just like have a cookie or a donut or whatever whenever you want if your body tells you that you want it. If your goal is to lose weight and to actually have progress at that, then there are some things to keep in mind. And so what I usually see is like on Instagram, somebody eating a cookie and saying, I'm eating intuitively today. So the problem that I see with that is that if you do feel like you're craving a cookie, I mean, we all crave cookies, we all crave donuts and sweets and something that is sweet and delicious. That's not abnormal. But what usually is happening there is that your body is telling you that you need energy. We're not really craving a cookie. Our body doesn't understand cookie. Our body understands energy. And our body knows that energy can come from sugar. So when you are craving sweets, it's likely to start thinking about, okay, I guess I need to be eating more complex carbs so that I have more energy. Maybe there's an issue with my sleep, so that I need to improve my sleep so that I have more energy. While I'm a full believer in having cookies as part of a healthy, well-balanced lifestyle, and I have those on my cheat days, eating intuitively and just listening to what your body is craving can lead to some pretty major bad choices if your goal is to lose weight. And I think that eating intuitively works really well for people who have a good relationship with food, who don't overeat on things, who aren't starving themselves, and who might even be maintaining their weight, that it's not the same situation as those who are just starting out their weight loss journey. And getting to that point of having a good relationship with food can take some time, and it takes a lot of education and patience. If you need more support and education on learning how to enjoy your healthy lifestyle and getting started with just changing your relationship with food, come join my 30-day healthy program and I will help you along the way and get you started. And I'll see you in the next video.